There's a door between you and the dog. Your son's door is closed. You go and get your rifle.
Correct.
And you come back to shoot the dog.
Oh, but I did get the rifle just in case. I told them the truth. That's the truth. Okay. I drew a diagram.
Okay, well the deal is Justin, this is where we are, and there's nothing I can do to help you at this point.
This video contains the interview of a man whose mother, a judge, tried to use her influence to prevent him from being charged with attempted murder. The children of people in power often think their parents' position gives them free license to do whatever they want, even if it means breaking the law. Justin Haynes certainly seemed to fall into this category. In 2019, Haynes, who had previously had trouble with the law, got into a fight with his girlfriend, Jasmine Perkins. Also in the home were Haynes' young son, who was in another room, and Perkins' dog, a protective pit bull. Perkins became fearful when Haynes lost his temper and barricaded herself in the bedroom with her dog. Haynes was enraged and went to get his rifle, which he then used to shoot through the door multiple times. Perkins was struck twice, although she was not killed. The dog was harmed during the events, and the police arrived on the scene quickly in response to a frantic call Perkins had managed to make while Haynes was getting his gun. When they arrived at the station, Haynes called his mother, Judge Barbara Hobbs, to come represent him. This was highly unethical, and Hobbs attempted to use her position to prevent Haynes from being charged.
Right here.
I mentioned you. I mentioned you.
Coming?
Did they mention you?
Who? No, they mentioned me. I would have been very upset if they should.
Do you want to be present while we speak to him?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You're welcome to sit next to him.
Sure.
I'll move your chair around.
Okay.
So just so you're aware, the recording is now going. I'm going to back up record this as well in audio. This is Investigator Kelly Isaacs. She's assisting me, tonight.
Okay.
Mr. Haynes, you're present with your attorney. However, I'm still going to read you your rights, just so you're aware of them, okay? Before you answer any questions or make any statements, you must fully understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have them present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights as I've explained to you?
I do.
Okay. Have you previously asked any of the law enforcement officers to allow you to speak to an attorney about this incident? Which you said yes. Your attorney's here. And having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to me about this now?
Yeah, tell them the truth.
So,
Haynes is prompted to speak by his legal representative, who also happens to be his mother.
this is kind of unique. Your mom is also your lawyer, all right? No matter how far into this you get, I'm sure she's explained this to you, you can stop, okay? I'm not going to push you to do anything you don't want to do, okay? And we'll go through it as much as you want to or as little as you want to, all right?
Yes, sir.
If for any reason you don't agree, because family's family, I understand. This, like I said, this is more emotional than just your typical.
We can proceed on.
Okay.
Yes,
all right. So, how I understand it is, from what you've told officers so far, is that the dog was attacking you. You were scared and shot.
I was in fear for my life. The dog had already bit me at that time. There was some type of disagreement. I don't even know what the circumstances for the disagreement was, but she had so-called barricaded herself within the room with the dog.
Okay. And this is happening.
Being the deterrent for me to come into the room. She obviously knew that the dog was upset, because she was upset. Anytime I've dealt with her and the dog, and she gets upset, the dog tends to mirror her emotions. I went in the room to try to speak with her about what was going on. The dog immediately got upset and disgruntled. She tried to restrain the dog at that point, and I reached into the closet to try to go and get something out of the closet.
What were you trying to get out of the closet?
Just some clothes. I was just trying to put on some drawers and a shirt. I didn't have anything on at the time.
Okay.
So I went in there to try to retrieve some stuff. In the process, she's trying to restrain the dog because she's arguing with me, and at the same time the dog is upset.
What was the argument over?
Because she didn't feel that it was appropriate that she was not able to come to the house.
Okay. This is not a house where she lives, correct?
No, it's not her house. It's where I stay. Okay. They've already told her that she's not welcome at the house. There's a trespass order against her at the house.
Okay. But you allowed her there initially tonight?
I allowed her to pick up the dog.
Okay.
There's a trespass order against her at the house. So in the process, I allowed her to come in and retrieve her dog. She decided to stay longer than it is that it would have taken to take the dog from the house. In the process, she lingered around, stayed in the living room or whatever, ended up coming into some type of confrontation with me. I don't even know what it was about, but I'm assuming it was the fact that she could not be at the house because of what my grandfather and my mother told her about coming to the house. And this has to do with cutting my tires and doing all kinds of other things at the house. So I was explaining to her that this is not going to be appropriate. You have to take this dog here. From here, I can't watch the dog anymore. Anyway, she got an attitude about that. She goes into the...
When did you have that conversation? I'm sorry.
This is just prior to...
So in person?
Yes, sir.
Did you communicate this at all by phone? Earlier? Like...
Absolutely. I told her, and I'm not sure if it was via text or a phone call, where it is that I told her that it was inappropriate.
The reason I'm asking is if there's any kind of proof to what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to know it. So if there's cell phone communication between you two.
I can't remember if there were text messages or not. I would have to reference my phone, but I know it is that I told her that it was...
Even call logs, yeah.
I believe there is a text message that indicates that I was not... cool with the dog and that we needed to be, if the dog was going to stay any longer than it is as she intended, that we needed to be careful about it, because they didn't want the dog there and I didn't personally want the dog there because he's a liability.
Haynes is casting a lot of the blame on the dog. However, there is no evidence that the dog has ever been aggressive. Right now on my Patreon, you can watch the most jaw-dropping encounter ever captured. This intense footage showcases an intense incident involving a man who, wielding a leather katana, aggressively charged towards the police. What unfolded within that crucial moment is way too intense and explicit for YouTube. Head over to patreon.com/strangerstoriesplus to access this gripping video and a ton of other Patreon exclusive content.
Okay.
At that point, I indicated to her that...
Why is it that you... Let me just ask this. Yesterday I went by the house on my way to church, and I saw the dog in the yard. I went through the roof. So I know he had to get rid of that dog.
Judge Hobbs should know better than to interrupt, and that her testimony carries very little weight in this case. Of course, as a judge, she should also know that her involvement in this case is a conflict of interest and highly inappropriate.
Right.
She made it very clear that the dog needed to go.
Okay.
At that point, I indicated that to her earlier in the day, or at least at anywhere from lunchtime to closing time, 5 o'clock.
Okay.
That the dog was not welcome at the house and that she would have to make other arrangements as far as keeping the dog. She said something about being Airbnb, and that's what her house was doing, and that she couldn't keep the dog at the house because due to, obviously, her rental situation with Airbnb. Once it is that we got into an argument about the dog, she decided to barricade herself, in that's my words, barricade herself within the room to where it is that I couldn't access my own bedroom without having to go through her or the dog.
Okay.
I go into the bedroom to try to go ahead and talk to her about what it is that's going on and removing the dog from the house. Dog is disgruntled. She is restraining the dog in this kind of manner, right?
Okay, so she's got it like around the body, the neck?
Around the neck,
okay.
Trying to keep the dog from advancing. Anyway, I go into the room, try to retrieve whatever it is that I retrieve from the closet. The dog bites me on the leg.
Okay.
From that point, I retreat out of the room. I leave the room, shut the door behind me, and I immediately go and grab, I guess it would be the AK that's in my house.
Okay. Describe that gun so we know which one it is.
It is a Kalashnikov, an AK-47.
Is it like a short barrel type gun, a long barreled 16-inch barrel type gun? Does it have a stock on
rifle. It's got a stock.
It's a rifle. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is it? What color is it?
It's a wood stock, and it's a pretty much black gun.
Okay.
The handgun, it is that I usually keep in the house, happened to be in the closet, so I didn't have any access to that, so I retreated to whatever it is that I had to defend myself against the dog.
And where did you say you kept the AK?
It's in another bedroom, close to the bathroom on the other side of the house.
Okay.
Spare bedroom.
So you retreated from the bedroom because you couldn't go any further to get your pistol.
Correct.
So you retreated from the bedroom, went and got your AK-47
from another bedroom.
From another bedroom and came back to this.
According to the victim, Haynes was already armed, which is what prompted her to barricade herself in the bedroom.
Yes, sir. It's
okay.
a 4-bedroom house.
Okay.
In the process, when it is that I tried to go back in there and ask her to take the dog up out of here, because the bedroom that I share is adjacent to the bedroom that my son shares. It's right across. There's a bathroom here, my bedroom, and his bedroom. So when it is that I opened the door, the dog was sitting right behind the door again, right behind my bedroom door.
Okay.
So when it is that I open up the door, the dog is right there. Shut the door. I ask her, Jasmine, take the dog up out of the house. I'm telling you, I'm serious. The dog has already bit me. Shoot. Through the door, in my intention is at the dog. Right?
Okay.
Because at this point, I don't want my son to walk out of the room who was just behind me, not even 2 or 3 feet from behind me, in defense. So I shoot right through the corner or the lock of the door, right? Okay. At where it is that I perceive the dog to still be. Upon doing that, she starts yelling and blah 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 blah. You shot me, and I didn't see the dog after that since I was apprehended and everything. But my intention was to go ahead and deal with the threat at the time because I was in fear for my life and obviously for my son's life.
Not only did Haynes shoot his girlfriend, but he injured the dog as well. Before we move forward, I want to extend my thanks for watching. This video today has no sponsor, so if you're enjoying it, subscribing helps the channel grow. You can also check out my second channel, Stranger Crimes, after this video.
Was the dog trying to get through the door?
Yes, the dog.
So there'll be scratch marks on the door.
I don't know how you would say the dog is trying to get through the door, but he can jump, and he scratches at the door. Even when you let him out to go and urinate out on the back porch, you can hear him scratching at the door and jumping to do so. Okay. So while I was outside of the door, the dog is whining, doing the kind of whimpering sound, and scratching at the door as well as jumping at it. So when I come back to the door, it's the process of him doing all of that, and I basically just reacted.
Okay.
Can I just ask one question? Why were you afraid of the dog?
The dog had already bit me, and she has personally told me that the dog had mauled her ex-fiance to the point where he had had plastic surgery on one side of his face because of a similar situation just like this, where he was trying to enter a room. She was apparently in the room, and the dog...
If the dog had previously attacked someone to that extent, it would have been removed from the owner and put down.
Attacked him.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a police report about it, but his name is Junior Tate.
Okay.
And he had to have some type of surgery, according to her, as a result of the incident with the dog, or the contact with the dog.
Okay.
So I know that the dog is capable of hurting someone. Because prior to that night and prior to our interaction, he had knocked my son down already, and he began to cry. So I put him in the room, and I actually locked the door at that time.
What, like,
yes, sir.
Was the dog attacking your son, or
It
just,
wasn't
or just running around the house? I mean,
I can't discern whether or not it was. I won't say he was attacking, but he was playing in such a manner that, or he was dealing with my son in such a manner as that my son started crying. He didn't appreciate the contact.
Okay.
In other words.
How old is this dog?
6, maybe.
Okay.
Upon my son falling down and crying and stuff like that, I believe that at that point she retreated to the room.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So just for the scenario, just so I get this correct, she comes over at your request to come retrieve the dog.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's an argument that happens over this. She's upset because she's been trespassed from the house. Now needs to find a place for this dog. She's upset by that, and you guys argue.
Well, truth be told, and I did not know this until she told me about this, but I actually thought she was in Atlanta. I thought she had moved from Tallahassee.
Okay.
But apparently she has an apartment somewhere here in town,
Okay.
in Leon County. So with all of that being now known, she has a place for the dog. The dog doesn't necessarily have to stay at my house, but because she's doing this Airbnb thing, she feels the need to allow the dog to stay at the house, or because we have some type of communal relationship.
How long has this dog been at your house?
4 or 5 days now. Maybe 5 or 6 days now.
5 or 6 days?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long has she had the dog?
From puppy, since he was a puppy.
6 years?
At least, yeah, I would imagine.
Okay. And this is the only time the dog has stayed at your house?
Yes, sir. He hasn't been at
The last
house
4 or 5 days?
Yes, sir.
She's not going to tell me any different?
No, he hasn't been at the house otherwise, because I can't even have my own dog, which is also a pit bull, and it's due to the fact that the insurance wouldn't allow it. She wouldn't allow it, and she actually has my pit bull, my mom, that is, and I was not able to bring the dog to the house, so I tried to convey that to her that, this has gone far enough, you need to take the dog from here.
Okay.
Especially after the incident Sunday, where I was on the porch and she witnessed the dog there as well as myself, and she made.
Okay. Has the dog bitten you before?
No, he's hurt my son before though.
How did he hurt your son?
Due to the dog doesn't have any restraints as far as jumping and scratching, so.
So like an excitement thing, or trying to injure your son type thing?
Well, you couldn't tell the difference in my opinion, but these scratches are due to the dog in particular.
Okay. So he's got long nails and he likes to jump up on people?
He does,
Okay.
absolutely. And it hasn't been a situation where she's restrained the dog from jumping on people.
Okay.
My son is only 3 years old. The dog, if he jumped on Malcolm, would be taller than my son.
Right.
Obviously would knock him down.
Right. I get
And
that.
that happened this evening. So as a result of that, and then being bit.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily an aggressive thing. That's more of a nuisance thing, though, right?
No, I've made it very clear to her that I don't appreciate.
Well, as far as the dog's demeanor in that case, it's more of a nuisance than an aggression.
I can't speak to the dog's cognitive, functions as far as.
I know that. No one can talk to dogs.
Yes, sir.
But
If the dog had a history of aggression, why did Haynes allow it in the house with his child in the first place? Why did he try and force himself into the bedroom if he truly feared the dog would attack? And why, if he was trying to evict the woman, was he not wearing clothes at the time? Haynes' story has several points that do not add up.
As far as, the dog viciously attacking your son, that's never happened.
Viciously attacking? No, I wouldn't say viciously, but the dog has a tendency to play very rough.
Okay.
Even if
Playful.
it is with a child.
Okay. So the dog plays rough, likes to jump up on people, and in this case, today, bit you.
Yes, sir.
Because you were arguing with its owner, right?
Correct.
Okay. And what part of the house did this happen where you were bit?
In the bedroom.
In the bedroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you and her were in the bedroom?
Your bedroom?
Your bedroom?
She was in the bedroom.
She was in the bedroom, uh-huh.
I was trying to enter my bedroom. This
Right.
is what you would,
Right.
I guess, consider.
This is your house. Every room is yours. I get it.
Excuse me.
So the master bedroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I tried to enter the master bedroom, and the dog was literally sitting behind the door. She was in the bed. At that time, once it is that I came through the door, the dog got aggressive. And it may just be due to my mannerisms.
Yeah, I'm sure you were mad
I
that
was
she was
upset.
not listening. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's your house. She's not allowed to be there.
As a result, the dog, I would imagine, can sense my hostility, and as a result, gave hostility back.
Okay.
So when I came into the door, she realized that, because I personally believe she knows the temperament of her dog. She knows what is going to set him off. So I went into the room, and as soon as I did, she tried to restrain the dog.
Okay.
Right? So when I went in there, I went directly into my closet, and I had to walk past them because the bed, if this is the bed and this is the closet that I had to access, I would have had to walk from the door right past the bed to the closet here.
Okay.
As a result, when I walked past the closet, they were sitting in this area.
Okay.
Right? And when I scooped past, I didn't get bit at that time, but when I walked back, like out the door, the dog bit me at that time.
Okay.
And from that point on...
Did you have anything in your hands at that
No,
point?
I didn't have anything.
Okay. Were you still arguing with her?
Asking her why it is that, she's doing this. At this point, I've been very hospitable to the dog.
Yeah, what was your demeanor during that?
I was upset. I was visually upset.
And her?
She was upset as well.
Okay.
And I believe that the dog could understand the upset feelings that were in the air. But once I passed there to enter the closet, wasn't a problem. She was able to restrain the dog, but somehow or other, once it is that I retrieved what it is that I needed from the closet, the dog went and bit me on the leg. And at that point, I retreated out of the room.
Okay. So you're scared of the dog, but you go in the room anyway. You go to the closet. You think it's okay, and then you go back out, and the dog bites you.
It's not
as you're leaving the room.
It's not necessarily that I was afraid of the dog, because the dog had been at my house throughout this time.
Okay.
He acts different when she is there versus when she's not there.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm not necessarily afraid of him when she's not there, right? But if she is there, the dog has a whole different demeanor and personality. Absolutely.
Okay.
So when I walked into the room, he was barking, he was upset, visually upset, and she was restraining him by his collar, by his neck like that.
Has there been any other time where the dog's been protective of her when you and her have been there?
Absolutely.
Okay. How many times before this?
She used to have an apartment on 2241 Pensacola Street, and anytime it is that we had an argument, I would always have to put the dog away.
Earlier, Haynes said that this was the first time the dog stayed at his home. Now he is claiming that he has had to remove the dog from the area during previous fights.
Ask her to put the dog away because he's very temperamental.
Okay. Has it ever chewed through a door, broken through a door in any other circumstance?
No, but he does have the ability to jump and paw the door.
Right.
How big is the dog?
I would say...
How much does it weigh, you think?
45, maybe 50 pounds.
50 pounds?
Maybe.
Okay. How big is your dog?
I would say he's probably 65, 70 pounds.
So
He's
this
a
dog
much
is
bigger
smaller
dog.
than yours?
My personal dog, yes, sir.
Your dog is bigger than hers?
Correct.
Okay. I would imagine you know your dog's weight, you take it to the vet and all that stuff. Hers, you might not know because you
I would
wouldn't
say
take
he's
care of
anywhere
it.
from 65 to 70 pounds.
Okay. So when you decide to go into the room, and as you're leaving, the dog bites you, and you're going back into the living room now because you just got bit by the dog, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Where's your son?
He is in the room just adjacent to my bedroom.
Okay. So there's your bedroom, you said another room, and then your son's room, or bathroom, and then your son's room?
If this is my son's room,
You want to draw it?
if that would make it
Yeah.
easier, yes, sir. If this is my son's bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
there is a small hallway here
Mm-hmm.
that leads to a bathroom
Okay.
and my bedroom here.
Okay. Where are the doors to the bedrooms?
Okay, so the doors would be right here.
Okay. All right.
And
Is
then
this
this leads into the rest of the house.
okay? So the bathroom's over here, and is dual access to the bathroom, I would imagine, or just yours?
Well, truth be told, the room is probably a little bigger than that.
Okay.
And it looks more like
Okay.
this.
All right. Is this door open or closed?
This door is closed at the time.
Okay. As you're leaving, so your son's door is closed, and did she close the door behind you when she left and kept the dog in the room?
No, I closed the door. She,
Okay, you closed the door.
I don't know what happened in the room as far as she goes. Maybe she jumped back in the bed, or maybe she stayed with the dog. But I closed the door
Okay.
to my bedroom.
Okay. Was that to prevent the dog from following you out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did she lock herself in your room?
To my knowledge, no. I opened the door and found the dog on the other side of the door when it is that I tried to go back in there to talk to her after the dog had bit me.
Okay.
And upon doing that, I just shut the door back and
Okay.
reacted.
So you shut the door. There's a door between you and the dog. Your son's door is closed. You go and get your rifle,
Correct.
and you come back to shoot the dog.
That
Well,
was
as
not-
the door is closed.
That was not my intention, was to just shoot the dog, but I did get the rifle just in case
Mm-hmm.
anything were to happen, whether that were my son to open up the door or I was to open up the door and the dog were to be loose in the house.
Okay.
So I went and got the rifle just in case because I didn't have access to the handgun that was in the room with her.
Okay. Okay. So, like I said, at the time you pulled the trigger, the door was shut, the dog was behind the door, and you thought you were shooting at the dog.
That was my intention.
And
yes,
it
sir.
wasn't your intention to shoot her.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No,
All
sir.
right. Go ahead.
I'm having trouble visualizing.
Okay.
You did with the box earlier. If we're going to do a drawing so I can make sure. Where is the bed?
The bed, if the door is here, the bed would be right there,
And the closet?
right here.
Okay. And then, so does this door open in or out? Like if you're in the hallway, do you push the door in to
It's
go
in. Opens in.
towards your room?
Correct.
And then you push the door in to go talk to her again, and
I'm sorry. No, the door does open out. It swings
so
out.
it comes into the hallway.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. It
Okay.
would swing out like that.
Okay, so the door opens, and when you open the door, where is the dog sitting? Right there, right here.
In front of the door.
Okay. Okay, now I get it. Thank you.
Okay. Do you know the capabilities of the rifle you chose to use? As far-
I do know the capabilities.
What kind of ammo did you put in the gun?
It's always loaded with, if I'm not mistaken, 5.56. I believe that's what you would be, AK-47.
If it's-
5.56, would be, no, I'm sorry.
Should be
Whatever.
7.62 by 30.
Yes, that is what it is.
And an AK-47.
Yes, sir.
What kind of rounds, though? Do you use, like, self-defense rounds, or do you use target rounds?
Target round.
Just target rounds?
Yes,
Okay. And, you do know it's capable of going through a door?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, even yes, I'm fully aware of that. But even with my mind, even if I was able to access the Glock that was in my room, it would have gone through the door anyway. It's
right.
There are hollow point rounds in the Glock.
But when it comes to a rifle, are you aware that it can pass through multiple
I'm aware of that.
multiple doors in one shot, multiple walls, that kind of thing? Were you concerned with that at all when you shot at this dog?
I was more or less concerned with the threat. At that point, I was in fear of my life. If that dog had gotten out of the room, at that point, I didn't know what he was capable of.
I get it.
If Haynes had truly been concerned about the dog, he easily could have taken his son, left the house, and called the police. Instead, he chose to shoot at a closed door.
Very heated situation. You've got a crazy woman in your house who's protecting a dog that has just bit you. And your son's there. It's a very, very volatile situation. So I get it. You're not exactly thinking, okay, well, what if this thing goes through the house, hits a neighbor's house, that kind of thing. That should be a concern of yours. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think you were necessarily thinking that at the time.
I have heard it before.
Okay.
I've got a cousin who mentioned that very specifically.
I just from what I know and how you guys were found, she was not clothed.
Clothed?
She did not have clothing on. I think she had underwear on, and that was it.
Yes,
Bottom underwear.
And that's about.
And you
normal.
only had boxer shorts on and a shirt when officers arrived.
Correct. That's about normal for how we would generally be with each other. And I'm not sure if her intention was to stay the night, but I did not have the intention of her staying the night. Okay. I was in my boxer shorts generally when she came over.
Let's nip another allegation in the bud.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Did you guys have sex tonight?
No.
Okay. That wasn't your intention at all?
No.
You didn't want that?
We did have sex the prior night, but we did not have sex tonight, no.
Okay. Typically that's what's going on when two people are, half naked.
I can understand that.
Okay. The other thing too is, did you attempt to get in the door at any time with a butter knife?
I did try to get in the door with a butter knife. Yes, sir.
At what point?
Once she was in a situation where the dog was attempting to try to attack me, I used the butter knife to try to enter my bedroom to get back into the room, and I used the butter knife for protection. That was my instant reaction. Once it is that I could not get back into my bedroom, I went and got the rifle.
The detective is supposed to believe that Haynes tried to use a butter knife against a large dog that he believed to be dangerous and broke into the room to get to him. The more Haynes speaks, the less he makes sense.
Why did you need the butter knife to get in the room?
It's my room. I felt like I had justification for going into my bedroom.
Did she lock you out of your room, or what was the? Did you use it as a tool to get in the door?
I did not use it as a tool to get in the door, but that's all that I had at my disposal at the time. It was a butter knife, and I believe.
Just a second ago, you said you tried to pry the door open with it. Is that not the case now?
I didn't say that. Did I say I pried the door open?
I can't remember.
I didn't say I pried the door open. I had the butter knife. I had the butter knife in my possession. At that time, I also had a screwdriver.
Okay.
In my possession because I didn't have any other.
How big is a screwdriver?
It's a little flathead.
Okay, like when you would stick through the hole to unlock the door?
You
know what I'm talking, to pop the door open? Like
no, but there are keys to the house.
Right.
Like multiple keys to the house that I could have just opened the door if I wanted to get in there. I didn't have to pry it open.
I'm not saying pry it. I mean the little screwdriver, the one you kind of stick through that hole in the doorknob to pop the door off?
It wouldn't fit.
Okay.
There are screw keys that actually fit in that small hole.
Did you try to use one of those?
I did try to use one of those, but it would not open.
So you were trying to get in the door, just not with the butter knife?
Yes, sir. I was trying to access the room. The butter knife was the only other option that it is that I had to, in my opinion, to try to defend myself outside of using a firearm.
Okay. So this dog's being aggressive, it bit you, the door is locked, and then you're trying to get back into where the dog is?
I'm trying to get back into my bedroom.
Right.
Yes,
I
sir.
didn't understand this. Was the door locked?
To my knowledge, it was not locked. I tried to open the door. I didn't have any problem opening the door. The dog was sitting on the other side of the door. I immediately shut it. I don't know if it was locked at that point or not, but when I came back with the firearm, at that point I wasn't taking any prisoners since the dog had bit me at that point.
Okay.
Were you at all nervous that the dog was going to attack her in any way?
The owner?
Mm-hmm.
No, the dog is very, very much so being comfortable with her from my entire experience with her and the dog.
Okay. How long have y'all been together?
Maybe a little over a year and some change.
Okay.
Was this the first time you had taken care of the dog?
Myself, yes.
Okay. How many times has that dog been to your house?
Once.
This last time.
This particular instance.
But you and your son have been around this dog before?
At her house, yes.
Okay. What kind of camera system do you have in your house?
It's one that you can buy at Walmart. AR something O. I don't remember the actual name of it, but it's in a white box and some green.
Does it hook up to like a Wi-Fi signal, or does it?
It does.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a cloud-based server.
Correct.
Okay.
Unfortunately, though, the camera inside the house doesn't actually have a working battery. The battery died this week, so the only cameras that I have are on an exterior.
Okay. Do you mind if we have access to those to see what, if anything, transpired?
I don't mind.
Kind of. Okay. Do you have a login for that?
It's a direct access based on my phone, but I'm sure there is a login or something like that, a passcode.
Okay.
I believe it might be Carpet, capital CARPET 01. That's the password.
Carpet 01.
Mm-hmm.
What's the username for the account?
Well, the unit is called Zardos, ZARDOS.
Mm-hmm.
That might be all you need.
That would be like the username, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's the unit name. There's not actually a unit, a username, if you will.
Okay.
But Zardos is the name of the Wi-Fi unit.
Okay, when you purchased this thing, I mean, did you have to create an account or get an app or something? Or get an app for your phone or anything like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Or something.
Because I mean, if there's video of what happened, that'd be great. That would.
I even have videos of previous events where she's come over and caused problems where I had to. I mean, that have been recorded.
And that's more of a lapse in judgment issue than anything. Why she'd be allowed to be there if you guys were having so many problems. That's a matter you need to discuss maybe later with your mom. But it's.
Okay, so I don't mean to let everybody into my personal business, but I've tried to make it work with this girl beyond what would be normal reason. She gave me herpes.
Okay.
You don't need to go there.
Hobbs swiftly cuts in, anxious to prevent her son from volunteering information that may give him a motive for harming Perkins.
But
you don't need to go there.
Okay.
Just stick with tonight.
Okay. It's okay. Let me ask you this. officers were responding out there, when they arrived at your house, they described it as being very, very quiet. No one was flagging anybody down. Hey, there's someone shot inside my house, anything like that. Is there a reason for that?
Once it is that I was able to see what happened to her, I was trying to carry her to the door and get her to the hospital or some type of medical attention once I seen what had happened.
Is there any reason you didn't call 911? At all?
Believe it or not, the police had gotten there so quick, I didn't even have a chance to find a phone to call 911. But once I had seen what had happened to her, that was my intention, because it wasn't something that you could have put a Band-Aid on or...
Okay. At no time did you refuse to call 911 on her, for her?
No, not at all.
That conversation never happened?
No, if she needed 911 or she wanted me to call them, I would have called them. My intention was not to shoot her. My intention was to deal with the threat.
Okay.
So if she needed medical assistance, I wouldn't have had any problem with calling the cops.
Okay.
Or anybody else who would have came.
And like I said, officers got there, it's quiet. There's no one outside flagging anybody down.
I was surprised at how quickly the officers had gotten there.
Okay. You know, I don't doubt the dog bit you. I saw your leg. Dog bit you. I mean, that definitely happened. What I'm having trouble believing is that you shot this dog or tried to shoot this dog in self-defense.
Why is that?
Well, you're shooting through a closed door the dog can't get through, first of all. I think you shot in anger, all right? And whether it was your intention to shoot the dog or not, I don't know. You're shooting at your own door, in your own house, and you're in a heated situation with somebody, like you said, that you've got a lot of reason to not like her. The one reason you just spoke about is, reason enough to hate her forever.
But that's not justification to shooting her.
No, it's not.
And that was
I'm not
my
saying
intention.
that.
But that the dog and I more or less do not get along. And I don't get along with the dog more so that I don't get along with her. So any kind of disgruntled disagreement that me and her could have had is secondary to my interaction with the particular dog.
Let's take her out of the equation. Say she's not even in the room.
Yes, sir.
The dog's locked in a room. She's not there.
No problem.
Obviously, you're mad at the dog because it bit you. I mean, is that why you shot the dog? Is because you were mad at it?
Absolutely not. The dog acts completely different when she is there versus when she is not there. The dog almost acts like he's some kind of stepchild, if you will, when she is not around versus when she's in the equation. Apparently, he feels that he has leeway.
Okay. Well, I don't want to keep playing games with you. I respect your mother a whole lot. Okay.
Well, officer, I'm not trying to play games with you either, but that is my
my true, honest belief is you were mad at this dog and you shot the dog or tried to shoot the dog in anger. You didn't intend to shoot her. I'm not saying you're even capable of wanting to shoot a person unless you felt that they were an imminent threat to you. I'll give you that one. Okay. I don't take you for someone that would just willy-nilly shoot somebody. All right? You're not that type of person. But
The detective is treading carefully, not wanting to risk offending Hobbs, who could use her influence to damage his career.
you've been drinking. Emotions got the better of you tonight. And I wholeheartedly believe you shot at that dog on purpose because you were mad at the dog. Not because it was a threat to you.
I do believe it was a threat. It wasn't my intention to be mad at the dog. It's just a dog, and I take care of the dog when she's not around. Okay. I come home every day to walk the dog, to take him out, to let him use the bathroom. I feed the dog. I provide water for the dog. I don't hate the dog because I own a pit bull just like that particular dog.
Why? I hate the dog. It bit me.
But he only bit me tonight. He's never bit me before. Even if he's had altercations with I wouldn't say altercations, but if he was too playful with my son, that's not reason that I would want to shoot him. I have no hostility towards the dog. The dog is a dog. But once he bit me, at that point I was in fear.
The fact that it bit you isn't even the biggest problem with this dog. It was abandoned in your house
What do you mean
by
abandoned?
a woman you don't get along with.
What do you mean abandoned, though? She knew good and well.
Well,
that
I
the
mean,
dog
she
was-
left it there for 4 or 5 days knowing that you weren't allowed to have a dog at your house. I call that abandonment.
I'm not sure he didn't know he wasn't supposed to have a dog until
Well,
yesterday.
well, they
Well, you told me about
they
the
didn't-
insurance policy. And
Right,
everything.
they didn't
I-
want the dog.
Yesterday?
Yesterday,
Okay.
on my way to church. I was driving down the street, taking my mother to church, and I saw this dog in the yard.
How long have you lived there?
He's been there for,
Just 8 months,
yeah.
man.
8 months, and you were never allowed to have your dog there?
Well, I've never been able to have a pit there. There was a dog that lived next door who was basically wild and was living next with a lady who didn't take care of the dog at all. And they didn't have any problem with me keeping that dog.
Okay. But it wasn't a pit bull?
No, it wasn't a pit bull breed. It was more like a canine, if you will. Well, not canine, but a Labrador.
Okay.
The dogs popped off being difficult yesterday because I told him, get your ass out of my house. Either you or the dog go.
Okay.
At that point, I let her know that the dog couldn't stay at the house because the jig was up. We had to come and get the dog. Can't keep the dog here anymore. She did not like that. She didn't like the fact that she had to remove the dog from the house. And basically, when she came over to so-called retrieve the dog, she just stayed. And lingered, rather. I wouldn't say stayed, but she just lingered.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter was, I mean, you guys were both disrobed, for whatever reason, and I think her staying there was something more of an invitation than just to retrieve the dog. Be that as it may.
Okay.
All right. You argued. The dog bit you. But I'm having a very hard time believing that dog, at any point, other than, at any point you tried to get back into that room where the dog was being contained, that you felt this dog was a threat to you if you're trying to go back into the room. That's not a plausible, logical.
But it's my property, though. I mean, in this particular situation, it is my property. I don't feel like I should be barred from any room just because a dog and a girl that I don't like is in the room. I should be able to access it if I need to get my cell phone, if I need to go ahead and get a pair of drawers. I feel like I should be obligated to be able to go into my own bedroom without having to worry about somebody in there that I don't particularly like who owns a dog. It wasn't my intention to try to harm the dog.
Of course, Haynes had a right to enter any room in his house that he wanted. A simple call to the police would have seen both Perkins and the dog evicted without incident. This was never about the dog or wanting to enter the bedroom to get clothes.
Because I don't like pit bulls, but the dog had already bit me significantly enough to where it is that I felt that this dog was a threat.
I mean, whether I'm in my underwear or not, whether I have my cell phone or not, have access to any kind of communication or not, I am not going to put myself back into a room where a dog just bit me. Bar none. There's a locked, closed door between me and the dog. I know it can't get through. I'll walk next door, knock on the door of the neighbor's house and say, hey, I need to call the cops. I need to get this crazy whatever out of my house along with her stupid dog because it just bit me. And then we would have come, removed her from your house, probably arrested her for trespassing because you kept telling her to leave, right?
Absolutely.
And taken the dog as well.
I'm not going to argue with that. You're right.
Okay.
The better judgment would have been to just call the police and have it dealt with.
I mean, part of something being a threat to you is not putting yourself in harm's way, which is what you did.
But the dog is ultimately in the house. If I had walked away to go and take a piss, right? Excuse me. But to go and use the bathroom, and my son had opened the door, based on the circumstances at the time, it wouldn't have been a situation where I would have just called the police and had them summoned to the house or however long that would take it. My son likes Jasmine, or the young lady who was at the house. He likes her. So if he had opened up the door to try to see what was going on.
Now feelings are getting in the way, okay, when it comes to stuff like that. You're talking about something that's a threat to you and your son.
If he's
Get him out of the house. Simple as that. You go next door, you use the phone, you get him out of the house.
Well, I won't argue with that.
Right.
I definitely probably could have used better judgment.
And you know, your son's behind a closed door, this dog's behind a closed door, you go and get your rifle and start shooting through the door. You know, that's, you know, I don't know what else to say about it.
My son is old enough to open up doors. My son is old enough to open up locked doors at this point. At that particular time, when it is that I retreated away from the door, I felt that he was at danger because he likes this young lady, and if he had opened up the door in consequence of trying to see what was going on, I felt it was a liability to him as well as me at that particular time. It wasn't a situation where I was looking at it like, I'm just going to shoot this dog because I'm upset with the particular dog.
Yeah, but you know, it's not an imminent threat at that point. Your mom knows the meaning of the word imminent.
I'm very aware of what
Yeah,
imminent threat means.
and I've seen
But
dogs. That dog.
imminent threat is the reason why they are insurance.
That's enough. Like I said,
Well, imminent threat is the reason why insurance is the way that it is about pit bulls and Rottweilers and these things, is because you never can predict the...
Haynes and Hobbs try to say that the dog was dangerous simply because of its breed, but that doesn't track, since Haynes also owned a pit bull.
personality traits or any of the nature of these particular animals. Once the dog had bit me at that point, the dog needed to be removed from the house in one way or another. If my son had opened up that door and got mauled after he had already been knocked down, in my opinion, that's too far for me to be...
So you wanted to remove the dog with the AK?
No, that wasn't my intention. My intention was to get the dog out of the house, period.
Okay.
The AK was only as a result after I had been bit by the dog, and she has already told me stories about her ex-fiance being mauled by the dog.
Okay. But you're trying to remove the dog with an AK-47. I mean, that's
Not necessarily. I'm trying to eliminate the threat.
Did you have a plan? I know that you grabbed the AK-47 for just in case. Okay.
Absolutely.
Did you have a leash for him?
I don't have a leash. It's not my dog, so I didn't.
But you had been taking care of him. So when you did you have a fence in the yard when you let him out?
It's a fence in the yard.
But when you went back to the room, your intent, you said, was to get the dog out of your house, right?
Not necessarily to get the dog out of my house, but to get her to peacefully remove the dog from the house.
Okay. And you were afraid that your son was going to open the door and end up in the middle of a dangerous situation.
Well, at the time, it was loud. It was boisterous. There was enough noise going on that he was hollering and asking what's going on. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I felt the need to go ahead and be the barrier between his room, which is here, me, and the dog. So if he were to come out of the room, and I was elsewhere in the bathroom or getting the AK, he could have just as well gone in here and been harmed as a result of it. My thing is, after he had bit me, the dog is, as far as I'm concerned, is rabid. You know what I'm saying? He's a danger to anybody in the house, other than the person that owns the dog.
Could you have gone into your son's room and closed the door? Rifle in hand and all.
Probably could have. I won't disagree with any of that. I could have probably handled the
Now there's
situation
two doors
differently.
between you and the dog.
Absolutely, could have been handled differently.
What are your doors made of?
Plywood. Yeah, it's not much.
Solid wood door?
It's not a solid wood door. It's
Plywood
just
door?
yeah.
Okay.
They're very thin. You could drill very easily through the doors.
Okay. But they're intact, they shut, they lock?
They do, yes sir.
Okay. All right. We're going to serve a search warrant at the house. We are going to seize phones and everything else for the communication aspect of it. We're going to seize blood evidence, shell casings, firearms.
Yes sir.
And I guess we'll figure out what to do with the dog.
Where's the dog?
I haven't even seen the dog after the fact.
I think it's been handled by officers on scene already.
Okay.
So it's not in your house anymore, I guarantee that.
I honestly didn't even see the dog after it. Well, after I shot through the door, I didn't even see the dog again. I don't know if he hid. I don't know what happened. All it is that when she was bleeding and hollering for help, I immediately tried to get her to the door and see if we could get medical attention for her, and the police were already there. As soon as I opened up the door, they were there and they apprehended me.
Okay. Well, I mean, she claims there was an argument on whether or not to call the cops, and ultimately she made the decision to call when you wouldn't. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, there's truth to it. Absolutely. She called the police after she was, I guess, shot. Because I didn't hear the police called at any other time during the argument other than when it is that I had tried to fire at the dog.
You misunderstand his question.
What is it?
Did you argue with her about calling law enforcement?
No. There was no argument. There wasn't even a discussion about law enforcement at all. During the initial argument and subsequent to the argument. Once it is that I had shot already, then at that point, she decided to call the police.
Okay.
How many times did you shoot?
Twice.
We were standing when you shot?
Yeah, yes ma'am.
How tall are you?
About 6 foot.
Okay.
The other problem we have too is the dog is not hit once, she is shot twice. You said you fired 2 shots. You hit her with both shots. So.
I couldn't see behind the door.
Right.
And that was not my intention to shoot her. But I'm assuming that because she was behind the door, ultimately the dog happened to be in the proximity or was in the area of where it is that I intended to shoot, if that makes sense.
Well, based on the map, she would have been directly behind the dog.
No, well, she was in the bed.
Right.
She was sitting here. Once I had come in here and gotten bitten by the dog trying to enter the closet,
right,
she was sitting in the bed. I didn't know whether or not she was in the bed or not, but I had fired 2 shots this way towards the door, and apparently in that barrage of shots, she was hit.
We put the rods and everything through that door and everything else. That's what it's going to show, right?
Yes, sir.
That you were aiming towards the closet?
Not towards. I mean, I was firing towards the door handle itself in a downward.
Away from the bed.
And the last place you saw was
not towards the bed, but away from.
No matter how Haynes tries to spin the story, shooting the dog through the door with another person on the other side still doesn't make sense.
There's like a little area here. I guess that's unspoken for. There's a little area here, and I tried to fire in this direction. I guess, like you said, towards the closet. Mm-hmm. That was my intention, and not towards where it is that I last saw her.
When you opened the door and saw the dog sitting there, and then you shot it immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long was it before you shot? 1 second? 20 seconds?
you saw the dog. You went
Was
and
it
got
like
the
immediate?
AK and came back and shot through the door, correct?
I opened the door. Let me say, I had the AK, opened the door to see if whether or not she was, or what was going on in the room. Noticed the dog was there, shut the door immediately, tried to talk to her or whatever. The dog kept barking, and I just shot 2 shots through the door.
Okay.
How long do you think it was that between time while y'all were?
Between the shots?
Well, yeah.
Maybe a minute, 30 seconds, maybe a minute at the most.
And you had told her to get the dog and get out, right?
Absolutely.
As you're yelling through this door.
Yes.
AK in hand, you're yelling through the door, come get the dog, get it
I
out
don't
of the
believe
house.
she knew I had an AK.
Right.
But yes, that was my intention.
You did.
Yes.
So you tell her to come get the dog, and then you shoot at the dog. Right.
Not in that fashion, but.
That's what you're telling her is to get the dog and get out of the house.
Correct.
And then you thought it was a good idea to shoot at the dog. Then I'm not saying you tried to shoot her. Okay.
No,
That's not what I'm trying to say. Is that
Yes, sir.
in the heat of the moment, what you're telling her to do is in direct contradiction with you trying to defend yourself against this dog and shooting it.
What I'm telling her the second time it is before I let the barrage of shots off is that the dog bit me. Your dog just bit me.
Right.
You need to do something about this dog. The dog is out of control. Bang, bang is how it basically went down. At that point, I wasn't interested in her taking the dog out of the house. If you will, I wanted to deal with the issue.
This is a mess. Okay, this is an absolute mess. All right. Like I said, I don't think you're a bad person. I don't think you intended to do this to her. Right?
That was not my intention. No.
Right. Okay. But there are consequences for what you did. Okay. And you're going to have to face those consequences. All right? I'm going to have to talk to her, too. She's told us a little bit about what happened.
Okay.
And she did say there was an issue with calling law enforcement, I guess because, I don't know, if you were scared, whatever. She got help.
That hasn't been an issue. She's called law enforcement numerous times on me. And I don't know if you can check TPD, but there's
okay.
But I mean, just for frivolous things, though.
All right, that's enough, Justin. Okay.
Do you want to talk to him again, or?
No, like I said, I know about pit bulls. I got one, and he's attacked dogs and tried to kill people. They will kill if they think if their owner's being attacked. Because Zeus will kill you. He thought I was sitting in the kitchen one day and I screamed, just being stupid, and the dog came in there fully in position to attack, and it wasn't nobody in but me.
Right. I get it. They tend to be an aggressive breed.
No, they're very protective of their owner. I am now the owner. I've been the owner for the last year. So I'm hoping y'all don't charge him tonight or whatever and finish your investigation.
Hobbs has no right to suggest that they do not charge Haynes at that time, and she comes across as dismissive of the whole incident.
We might not have a choice. He might be charged tonight. So,
what am I being charged with?
At this point, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon comes to mind. Possibly attempted murder based on what she tells us. So, I know what you're telling me. I'm trying to shoot the dog. Fact of the matter is, she shot. The dog isn't. There's an argument beforehand. A lot of emotion, a lot of anger going on inside the house. I mean, I'm not saying that the charge will change later, but that's what I'm thinking right now.
Is it possible that you can finish your investigation before you charge him? He ain't going nowhere. I live here.
Right. He's going to stay right there until we're finished with the search warrant, until we're done talking to her. So he's going to be held until that, and then we will determine what charge exactly. But right now, you know.
So what I'm saying to you doesn't bear any weight on.
Oh, it does. It does.
But what you're telling me is that I'm going to be charged for trying to defend myself from a dog who has already hurt someone and could potentially, and not potentially, but hurt me and could have possibly hurt my son. What you're telling me is that I'm going to be charged for attempted murder because of this?
No. Because
or aggravated battery because of this?
I don't believe that's what happened. That you were simply defending yourself.
You don't believe that?
No, I don't. I'd be lying to you if I said I did. I don't. You shot through a closed door at a dog. You said it was a threat when you were trying to get back into the room.
But it is my house.
You put yourself back into a situation. It's the same thing with staying your ground. It's the same thing with everything else.
Not in your house, though.
If you put yourself back into the situation, okay?
So wait a minute. But what if
an element of fear?
If a person came to my house to rob the house with a dog, and I shot through the door to try to kill the dog who was trying to rob my house, am I looking at attempted murder for that?
Okay,
or aggravated battery for that?
That's enough. excuse me,
But that is hardly the case here.
How is it hardly the case? I was trying to defend my son who was behind me.
okay, all right.
Listen to your mom. Okay. In the meantime, if you would like to speak with him, given our decision now, you're more than welcome to do so.
What
If
decision
not,
is that?
right now, he is under arrest. Okay? Again, we haven't searched the house yet. We have not done a detailed interview with her yet. Okay? I'm sure there'll be holes in her story too. Okay? And again, the stuff I'm talking about, the forensics evidence and all that stuff, we still have to do that. Okay? Like I said, that could change, but you're not going anywhere until something does change. Okay?
What holes in the story of mine?
I've tried to explain that to you already.
But
Okay,
you
just
have.
leave it alone, okay? If
But
he
wait,
has-
I'm going to be the one who has to sit in here asking myself these questions. What holes in my story
Justin,
other than the fact that I was
listen.
trying to defend myself against
Justin, there's
this
all
young lady?
kinds of- Okay, listen. I'm not sure exactly what he has to do. He's in his home. He's in a place where he has a right to be. So we'll.
This
just
is
have to
exactly
deal
my
with it.
point. Like, I should be
All
able
I'm
to
asking you
defend
is just-
myself.
if you- Excuse me. I'm asking you is just not to put the charge on him until you're there. It's just a whole ramification of doing that. Is all I'm asking.
And yes, I completely understand your concern.
Haynes starts to throw a fit about potentially being charged. His mother tries to talk over him, knowing he is just making himself look bad. She only makes matters worse when she presses the detective to hold off until the investigation is over, something that they would not do with any other suspect.
But if a felony offense has occurred,
Wait, can I just make sure I understand this?
Don't
Justin,
interrupt
will
me.
you please just be quiet?
I just want to make sure I
Okay,
understand.
wait, please.
I won't
Don't interrupt me.
Okay, please, just be quiet. Just lean back. Lean back.
If-
Lean back.
If there's evidence to believe a felony offense occurs and I have probable cause for that felony, I have to make the arrest. You know that. I mean, I'm bound. I can't let someone with a felony go if there's probable cause for their arrest. We will.
What is the probable cause, officer?
Justin,
I can't say nothing.
just leave it. You're not going to change
I mean,
anyone's
you
mind.
done got my story, but I
Okay,
can't even
all right,
ask
all
you what
right,
the probable
all right.
cause is.
I will say this. It'll go through my supervisors before any charge is written and any booking is done. It goes through my supervisors. It goes through probably our legal advisor at this point. And it will go through the state attorney's office as well. So I do have checks as well. If there's any reason they find that shouldn't be the case, or he gets arrested tonight, okay. That's the only reason, though.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the last bit.
If someone with more authority than me to charge says don't charge him, that's what I'll do. But at this point, you know, I think we have to hold him.
Say something.
No, just listen, okay?
But I gotta sit here and just hold on to what it is that I wanted to ask.
Okay, you're being recorded. Let's get
Do you
done.
want to consult with her first before you ask any more
Not
questions?
at this point. I just want to know what it is that the probable cause is to charge me for what you're intending to charge me with. What is the probable cause?
He's already told you.
He hasn't told me.
That you're not acting in self-defense and you shot a woman in your house.
How do you
that
know
was
that?
a guest at your house.
Okay. Based on what it is that I've told you, what makes you think that I didn't shoot in self-defense? If I open the door to my own...
Listen, arguing is not going to help the situation, okay?
Arguing is what war is for.
I'm assuming that you've already made up your mind then, in that instance. So arguing with you is not going to make a difference.
Right now, no. Not from you. No. I will say this. If some more light is shed on this that could possibly affect,
What more light could be shed if you've already made up your
I mean,
mind?
that baby was standing there, So he was there and out in the open.
According
He
to him,
was
he's behind the door.
All the same, the
was
baby
there.
can open the
Shh,
door.
Be quiet. The baby was sitting there. The baby told me. The baby's telling you that he saw the shoe. Yeah, I mean, I just said the baby was.
Saw blood. He was eventually out of that room.
Oh.
I mean, you know, there's time elapsed between
But
the time you
what,
shot and he got there.
all I'm saying is that if the
Right. Okay, that's enough. All right, you've told your side of the story.
Right.
The officer doesn't believe that you were in fear, and the only issue I have is just charging him with something that potentially will not, it's not going to go forward. That's all I'm saying.
Right,
Because
right.
it sticks, it's there.
And I will
And I'm
be-
just saying that, he's not going anywhere. He is not going
That's not
anywhere.
the problem, though.
Oh,
If
just be quiet. He's not going anywhere. The booking is the issue.
I understand that, and trust me, I will tread lightly when it comes to that. I promise I will give him every benefit I can to not have him booked into the jail tonight.
I would really appreciate that.
I know you would, and
You can, ultimately, he can get the charge. It's just getting him booked in under the charge, and it conceivably, because I've been down this road for 30, 40 years, and I don't think that it's going to go very far, but the fact that he's been booked in will go very far.
Okay. I understand that. I understand that completely. I would want the same respect.
Especially when he shouldn't go to the jail. I know there's an issue about my children being in the jail.
Right.
So.
And that's a decision that also is above my head.
When I say my children, I'm not trying to curry favors. It's just that I got people in the jail that don't like me and truly don't find out who
Trust
he
me,
is.
that is a major concern for me as well.
Hobbs claims she is not trying to curry favor, but that is exactly what she is doing.
If there is any association between him and you, obviously it's a
His
it's
name
a
is
concern
the
for
same as mine.
right. So obviously that is a huge concern for us as well, and I don't want something ill to befall your son because of a bad night. Okay.
I can't say anything.
No, just give it a break.
I want to, though.
Just enough already. Just settle down, okay? Let him do his job.
I didn't intend to shoot this girl. My intention was to go ahead and deal with the threat. My son is almost 4 now. He'll be 4 in October. He's capable of opening up the door. He was screaming the entire time. I understand what you're saying about there's not a threat, but the dog, if she even went out of the door to try to leave the house, the dog was still a threat to me. What you're saying is basically that the dog was not a threat just because he was behind a door. If she decided to go and take a piss, it's still a threat to me. The dog is the problem, not.
Is there anything you want to discuss with him outside of our presence?
No, I need to
Okay.
go. I guess.
Okay.
But, I'm trying to figure out. Do you have any timeline at all in terms of this evening?
I wish I could give you an accurate one. I haven't even. I've written a paragraph or two of my probable cause for the search warrant for the house. So by the time it gets written, approved, signed by the judge, and then we're serving it at the house, I mean, we could be looking at daylight. It takes a while.
Okay.
So I'd like to tell you a couple hours, but I can't.
That's fine. I don't know because I need to go home. Can you turn that off?
Yes.
I need to go home because I have a child. I'm not going to figure out how I'm going to do that tomorrow. But I'm asking you in terms of when will you make the booking decision? Like I said, I don't care about the
Would
charge.
you like me to call you?
Yeah, I don't necessarily care about the charge. It's the booking process. If
Right.
there's a way
Around
that this
that.
man can be given some sort of appearance, because he ain't a threat. He ain't going nowhere. I mean, he's going right now because his grandfather has just evicted him. Going to be at my house.
Okay.
He's not going, he's gonna be at my house, so I'm just, any kind of,
I think the nature of the charges would be first appearance required. That's, like I said, that's a decision.
listen, boy, be quiet, just be quiet. I mean, is it possible for me to talk? Oh, Jesus.
You want to talk outside?
No, okay, all right.
Do you need another water or anything?
Hobbs is done trying to save Haynes from himself and chooses to speak with a detective outside. The interview is over, and Haynes is left to wait.
I'll get you another water.
This is crazy, man.
These are small, so I got you two. Okay.
You don't believe what it is that I'm saying?
It's not.
Can I just ask you what your name is?
Investigator Isaacs.
Investigator Isaacs?
Investigator Isaacs.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I mean, it's pretty clear what happened, at least from your side of, we asked very detailed questions, we have the diagram and everything, okay? The issue is, you say that you understand what imminent threat is. That's the issue here. Is it an imminent threat? The dog was behind the door, okay? So that's where it's going to be decided, okay? So ultimately, like he said, he's going to have to write it up. We're going to have to go search the house. We're going to have to get everything that we possibly can to tell what the truth was, to tell what actually happened. Her side of it, your side of it, what the evidence says, everything, okay? It's not like already made up our mind because...
But he's going to charge me, though.
That's what it looks like. But again, we've done this much work on this giant situation here, okay? So there's still work to be done. Things could change at any point. That's why it's ongoing. If something changes, you're going to be told, okay? So that's where we're at. We still have lots to do. We still have to get her side. We still have to see what the house looks like. Okay? So it's not, he's already made up his mind because he wants to charge. No. That's what it appears to be based on our conversation that we've just had with you, that you were here for. I mean, you were the one that told us everything. So.
But based on what it is that I told you, I sound like I moved without any disregard for human life?
No.
Because as far as that, I will interpret an imminent threat. If she opens the door, if she just decides that, hey, aggressive dog, I'm going to open the door and come out and talk to you, and the dog bites me again, then I have enough grounds to...
So, like I said, the definition of what imminent means, okay? Generally speaking, if the imminent threat is based on if this happens, then there's a threat. That's not imminent.
But he already bit me, though.
I know that, and I'm not saying, no one's denying you clearly have a dog bite. I'm there with you. I believe it. I would not want to mess with that dog either. And I certainly wouldn't want him around my child. Okay? It's were you forced to do it right then because of the threat? So, arguing, like you said, is for courts. So if it comes to that,
I'm going to be charged with attempted murder.
No, he said it's a possibility. You asked what the outcomes could be. We told you what they could be. Okay, we've got tons of work to do, and nothing's decided at this point. I'm just trying to be honest with you about what could happen. Worst case scenario doesn't mean that it's going to be that. Got it? Okay.
Am I going to go to Leon County?
Because of your family connection, I'm not sure what the protocol is about that, but whatever is going to be the safest option for you is probably going to be the one we go with, okay?
All right, so Justin, you don't need to talk anymore. You're not going to grant these people anything differently than what's going on.
Full of shit. Why the fuck are they doing this to me? I told them the truth. That's the truth. I drew a diagram.
Okay, well, the deal is Justin, this is where we are, and there's nothing I can do to help you at this point, okay? I don't know what we're going to do, how we're going to handle this situation.
Justin Haynes was initially charged with attempted second-degree murder and animal cruelty. However, during his trial, the charges against him were dropped. Judge Barbara Hobbs was publicly reprimanded by the Florida Supreme Court for getting involved with her son's arrest and failing to properly manage her staff. The reprimand came with a $30,000 fine, a 60-day suspension, and requires Hobbs, a judge in the 2nd Judicial Circuit since 2012, to attend an employee management program. If you enjoyed this video and want to support me further, there's a Patreon link in the description where you can do just that. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.